As we're winding the semester off and waiting for summer, let's take a second look at The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. As we wait for the next installment, Skyward Sword, let's revisit this classic for the Nintendo GameCube. Released in 2003, The Wind Waker was the first of 3 Legend of Zelda games for the console. The game was amazing, not to mention it met rave reviews from the critics. But while the game was amazing, that's not to say that there weren't a few problems. This installment of the Zelda series retained virtually the same gameplay style as its predecessors on the Nintendo 64. So in terms of gameplay, this game wasn't really a radical departure in the series. However, the gameplay of Wind Waker was still interesting. The approach of a vast world map set in the Great Sea was a first in the franchise. In Wind Waker, you'll have to traverse the Great Sea and explore each of the 65 islands in the game with their always faithful companion, the King of Red Lions, otherwise known as the Talking Boat. You'll have to man the decks and helm the sails of this talking boat to travel the world and complete your arduous quest to defeat evil. Additionally, you'll also have to rely on your trusty, item called the Wind Waker. This baton allows you to conduct various songs to manipulate the winds, as well as accomplish various other things, such as awakening the powers of the legendary sages. And of course, other items from the previous game, such as the bow, boomerang, and bomb bag, make a return as well. With graphics, Wind Waker distinguishes itself from other installments. For the first time, a Zelda game had cel-shaded graphics, which was kind of off-putting at first, considering that it put a lighthearted mood to the series, but over time the graphics did grow on me. Nothing says victory like a fallen enemy vanishing into a cloud of smoke. The cel-shaded look of the game also added a little more humor to Link's facial expressions and added a more sinister look to Ganondorf. It also made the game more comical at some points, which previous games severely lacked, and it also provided a much-needed break from the serious tone of the overall franchise. In terms of plot, Wind Waker pulled a complete 180 on me. At first you get the impression that this game is independent of all other Zelda games, but as the game progresses, you begin to connect the dots and realize that this game is a sequel to the events of Ocarina of Time. You also find out that Hyrule you once knew in Ocarina of Time was drowned by a flood and washed away underneath the sea, and all the 65 islands that you've been exploring the whole game are really the remnants of the highest mountains of Hyrule. Rather than continue with a completely different incarnation of the Hyrule universe, or a completely different universe altogether, Wind Waker does what other Zelda games does not: explore Hyrule in a post-apocalyptic setting. Even crazier is the revelation that Link of this game is a descendant of Ocarina of Time Link. I guess stealing Ganondorf away with the Master Sword is just another part of the family business. And of course, what's a Zelda game without Princess Zelda? Anyways, this game requires you to find and actually use the power of the Triforce. I know! You'll have to collect the fractured pieces of the Triforce in order to complete your quest. At times it feels fairly tedious, but overall it does add an interesting dimension to the story, which gets better as the game progresses. And of course I could tell you about the story right now, but I wouldn't want to ruin it for those who haven't had the pleasure of diving into this game. But if you're looking for a way to cool out the summer, jump into the waters of the Great Sea and have a party on the King of the Red Lions. So until next time, this is Jake Hong bringing you another classic game review with Video Game Hour Live.